Most people think free means safe. If nobody asks for anything, if nothing is written down, if the offer sounds generous, they assume there's no catch. A lot of the time, the catch is the part that never gets said out loud. That's how people end up paying for their freedom instead of their money. I'm Chief. Welcome to Chief Logic. Today, we're breaking down Law 40, a law about favors, hidden agreements, and why the cheapest thing up front can get expensive later. Law 40 says, despise the free lunch. This law is not telling you to reject kindness. It's telling you to respect the real cost of taking something you didn't earn and didn't define. In real life, nothing stays free. If you don't pay up front, you pay later, and later usually costs more because now somebody has position on you. Most people only notice what they received. They don't notice what they accepted by receiving it. They think the exchange ends when they say thank you. It doesn't end there. That's where the quiet terms begin. Here's how it usually goes. When someone gives you a free benefit and they have influence, status, or resources you want, the gift changes the relationship. The giver becomes the person who helped. The receiver becomes the person who owes. Nobody has to say it for it to be felt. Even when the giver is a decent person, the dynamic still forms, and once the dynamic forms, it starts shaping your behavior. You start watching your tone. You start avoiding direct disagreement. You start softening boundaries. You start thinking, let me not mess this up. And that mindset is actually how control gets built. That's why this law exists. A free lunch can introduce obligation without negotiation. If you pay for something, you have clear terms. You know what you're buying and what you're not. If someone blesses you with something, the terms become emotional, and emotional terms can change whenever the giver feels like it. The way it works is basic. People rarely give without getting something back. Sometimes what they want back is obvious, like money or work. Sometimes what they want is less obvious, like loyalty, excess, maybe silence, or the right to call you whenever they need something handled. And because it wasn't stated clearly, you don't get to negotiate it clearly. You just feel it. You see, this is in mentorship. Sometimes it's real guidance, clean and supportive. Other times it's grooming with a smile. Someone offers advice, introductions, a seat near the table. You feel grateful, you feel chosen. Then you notice the expectations start showing up in small ways. They want you to move how they move. They want you to speak how they speak. They want you to support certain people. They want you to ignore certain behavior. They start acting like your growth belongs to them. And if you don't play along, they treat it like disrespect. It wasn't in the original offer, but now it's in the air. You see it in business too. Somebody offers to help you get started. They give resources, contacts, maybe even money. But the help isn't straight. It comes with control. Suddenly, they want a say in decisions. They want inside information. They want credit. They want the rights to steer the direction because they were there early. And when you push back, they remind you what they did for you. That reminder is the bill. It shows up when you try to act free. The free lunch also trains the wrong habits. When people get used to taking what costs them nothing, they start building their life on other people's generosity instead of their own structure. Then when the generosity stops, they don't just lose the benefit, they lose the foundation they never built. That's how people end up trapped, not by force, but by dependence. If you ignore this law, the cost is usually slow and quiet. Your choices narrow without you noticing it. You start saying yes to things you don't respect because you owe. You start staying in rooms you outgrew because you don't want to look ungrateful. You start letting people talk to you sideways because you don't want to risk the connection that feeds you. And the longer that goes on, the harder it gets to leave clean. There's also a reputation cost. People who live on free lunches get a label. Sometimes it's user, sometimes it's easy to steer, easy to influence. Either way, Serious people take note. When someone sees you can be bought with convenience, they stop trusting your independence. This doesn't mean you have to be suspicious of everyone. It means you move with clear eyes. You don't accept a benefit without understanding the real exchange. You don't take from someone who expects ownership. You don't let gratitude become a leash. To stay in control, you start with the offer itself. When something is given to you for free, ask yourself 3 questions. First, what does this person gain by giving me this? If your honest answer is nothing, be careful. People usually gain something, even if it's just influence, proximity, status, or the feeling that they can call you later. Second, what happens if I say no later? If the relationship turns cold the moment you establish a boundary, the gift was never really a gift. It was a quiet contract, and your boundary is what exposed it. Third, would I be comfortable if this was public? If you feel weird explaining it, that's a signal the terms aren't as innocent as they sound. A strong move is paying your way when you can, even if you don't have to. Paying protects your freedom. It keeps relationships simple. It makes your yes and no belong to you, not to the person who helped you. Now, after you understand that, it helps to see how this plays out in a normal situation people recognize. Picture somebody offering you a free opportunity in a professional space. They say that they can get you on. They can put you in front of that right person or the right people. They can get your work seen. They don't want anything. They just want to believe in you. You take it. Things start moving. You get access you didn't have. Your name starts showing up. Then small expectations appear. They want you at certain events. They want you to co-sign certain opinions. They want you to downplay other relationships so you don't mess up the look. At first, it's framed as guidance. Then it becomes direction. Then it becomes control. If you're in a position where saying no risks losing the excess that's been feeding your progress, that's when you learn what the free lunch really was. It wasn't free. It was an investment in your compliance. A cleaner version of that situation is when you set terms early. You make the exchange clear. If someone connects you, you offer something back. Time, value, work, a defined agreement. Not because you're proud, but because clarity keeps people honest. If they refuse any structure and insist it has to be just because, that can be a red flag. Some people keep things unofficial on purpose because unofficial keeps the control in their hands. When nothing is defined, they can claim anything later. That's the point of Law 40. It's not necessarily about money, it's about freedom. It's about choosing clear transactions over hidden obligations when your future decisions are on the line. There's a difference between receiving and depending. Receiving can be healthy when it's straight. Depending changes your posture. It makes you cautious. It makes you compromise early. It makes you protect the source instead of protecting your future. So how do you accept help without becoming owned by it? Well, you build balance into your relationships. If someone gives, you give back in a way that keeps the scale from staying tipped too long. You don't let one person become your only doorway. You pay when you can. You contribute when you can't. You keep the exchange real, not emotional. You also learn to accept only what you can walk away from. If the gift creates a situation where you can't say no later, it's way too expensive. If the gift creates fear in you, it's not a gift, it's a hook. And you watch how people act when you offer to pay. Someone offering something clean won't fight you for your independence. They won't insist on being the source of your progress. They won't need you indebted just so they can feel powerful. Law 40 is about refusing to be purchased with convenience. It's about refusing deals that look like help but function like control. It's about keeping your future decisions clean and yours. Take opportunities, take support, take partnerships, but don't take the free lunch from someone who expects to eat off you later. Stay sharp, stay grounded.